Okay, it is Saturday,
Welcome, everyone,
and it's time for the PP podcast, as always.
as always. Always on a Saturday, when we record anyway. When they go up,
At some
God knows
point.
when that's going to be. Yeah. We managed a brief amount of like a
We've got
schedule,
3 weeks.
that was never
No,
going to last.
no.
I actually think one of them didn't go out on a Saturday anyway.
Oh, was it?
So we literally didn't. I think we managed like one episode, which, you know what,
This
is fitting.
it's the podcast
You
way.
know?
It's just what happens.
So, what I've not really watched many films this week. So what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? Um, I what? James, you tell me you didn't watch Alien Resurrection.
No, I haven't watched it yet. I will,
You've got. Oh,
but I
dude.
haven't.
I I'll only make a brief comment about it. So obviously, I rewatched it like the day after we recorded the last episode. Oh my god, it's so good.
Wow.
It's so good. And I'm going to make a statement here. It's better than Alien 3. It's better.
Oh,
Which I think most people
okay.
would consider me insane for. And I'd say it's purely because Alien 3 is just like an average, not great Alien movie. Just like the first one, or a bit like the second one. Whereas Alien 4 is fucking mental from start to finish. It's a complete ride. So much weird, funny, almost like slapstick stuff happens in it. And I forgot how good the cast was, because it's got like Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder, obviously it's got Sigourney Weaver, and like the fucking like they're all quite charismatic and they all play off each other really well.
Okay.
Honestly, it's still crap,
Yeah.
just like Alien 3's crap. But I would rather rewatch Alien Resurrection than rewatch Alien 3, like any day, any day.
Okay. I mean, I can understand that because I often think like the biggest sin a film commits is being just meh,
Exactly.
right? Just being mediocre. Like if your film is aggressively bad, you probably had to be trying to do something at least a little bit interesting
Yeah,
to go that far wrong.
exactly.
with a few exceptions. But if like I actually enjoy films less if they are just well produced but dull.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
It's like if you that's more of a waste of my time, I think. It's like I've seen somebody churn out a sequel before.
yeah,
So I don't need to watch another one like that.
exactly. No. And also, a few more things I just didn't know. It's by the guy that directed Amelie.
Okay.
No word of a lie.
That is out there.
And you know the in the cafe in Amelie, there's the really grumpy dude who's like looks very French, and he sort of hates slash fancies the waitress, and they have that little thing going on the whole movie. That dude is in Alien 4,
Yeah.
but he's in like a wheelchair. He has like a shotgun, and honestly, he's amazing in it. He's so good. Oh, I love Alien.
Okay.
I love Alien Resurrection. It's fucking nonsense, crazy fun, which I never thought it actually was. I just thought it was bad, stupid. But I might have to change my ratings. I'm saying it's genuinely fun.
You're getting like real positive.
Yeah, no, fuck it. It's a good movie. It's like Pacific Rim or something. It's just
Okay.
dumb.
I'm now more
space
excited
fun.
to give it a
Like,
go.
you can't go wrong.
Uh,
So yeah, Alien Resurrection
Yeah.
is worth your time. It's worth your time.
cool.
So I watched that.
Yeah, I'm more excited for it now.
Yeah,
than,
honestly,
the previous just watch it. It's shit. You should just watch it.
it's just fun, which an alien movie maybe shouldn't be fun, but it is. So, and it's been out for like 20 years, so that's just the world we live in now. So yeah, I watched that, and I don't know if I watched anything else, but I did apart from 12 Angry Men, which is what you recommended that I watch. That movie, I found it on one of those what do you call them? Like archive.org or something, because the copyright's gone, so you can just watch it free online. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
that movie was just as good as you said it was. Immediate 5 stars straight after. Um, yeah, that was a fucking good
yeah.
movie. God damn.
I'm glad you liked it because that's like a strong recommend for me. I have
Yeah,
to say, it is one of my favorites. It surprised, I think, as well. It surprised me in just how it approached it. Like it was really thoughtful, and
yeah,
I don't know, just if selling a film like if you're pitching that film, it's just yeah, we stick a bunch of people in a room and they discuss a legal case.
yeah,
Like that film would be so easy to make just so boring
yeah,
or or ridiculous, make it so unbelievable that you can't get like even remotely invested. But I feel like every part of the story has been thought through and like everything they're querying about this case, like the knife,
yeah,
how unique is that? Is that strong evidence? All the different witnesses, like they're all questioned and put into question in like such plausible ways.
exactly, yeah,
Um, yeah, saying about like the opening, it just sets up so well because you watch, they come in, they're saying how everybody's like it's cut and dry
yeah,
case, and then it's this 11-1 vote,
yeah,
and you just know, or you can feel what's coming over the course of the film, right?
exactly,
Like you're going to find out why, and you kind of assume he's going to start to convince people.
yeah,
Um, and it's just so interesting to see one by one how people change their minds when they flip, which way they flip.
yeah. I liked as well that it didn't, like, the case doesn't just, like, fall apart from, like, the minute that juror 11, I can't remember his name, Davis, starts talking. I like that it slowly untangles all the bits of evidence, like you said. It's not like they walk in, they
Yeah,
sit down, oh, it's 11-1, what's this about? And then it's just him talking and he just completely shits on the case. It's like one by one with each bit of evidence that they're like, we don't know for sure that it's just like the bit with the woman with the glasses. Oh, she saw him do it. That's a witness. That's as hard as it comes. And then the old man's like, what's this on your nose? And it's like, oh, from wearing glasses. Oh, the woman had that, but she wasn't wearing glasses. And then it's like, how could she have possibly seen from 60 feet at night without her glasses that it was definitely the sun? And then that's what flips
yeah,
the second to last guy, because he's like, this is the one bit that I just can't get away from. And then he's like, well, surely you've got doubt now. And he's like, yeah, I do. It was really good.
yeah. I really, that second to last guy, when he flips, I think that's so well
It's
done,
really well done.
right? Because all the way through the movie, he's been on the side of guilty, and like, but also he's been like purely logical about it and always had his points,
Exactly.
and just how he goes from being so sure to like a little bit of doubt to not wavering under the pressure of the
Yeah, yeah,
questions
yeah.
to feeling like he has to
And
flip is just
he actually
so,
starts sweating as well, whereas previously he didn't sweat
yeah,
at all. And then he's like, shit, dude, they've got me. Um,
yeah,
the one, I think he was one of the most interesting guilty jurors as well, because when the racist man is just going on like that tirade about Spanish Americans, and one by one they all turn their back to him and refuse to listen. But he's like, I wasn't sure, so he sits there and he listens to him say it all. And when he finishes, he's like, oh, why has no one listened to me? And he's like, I have. Now shut up and don't say a word. I didn't know if that meant that he also had those prejudices and that's why he listened, or if it was just he was like, I'll listen to you and then I'll shut you up. Like, that was like the one thing that either way is it works, but
mm. Yeah. I really like that the film did include and address biases in that
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Like, I think it would have been very easy to try and make, 12 characters who kind of are all like plausibly right,
yeah,
on one way or another, as opposed to having some people who, are making reasonable points on some elements and sometimes being
yeah,
unreasonable and being biased one way. And I really like the scene where the old man
yeah.
flips in the anonymous vote, the
Second
second
vote.
vote they
Yeah.
run, and then they start blaming the guy from the slums, like,
Hmm.
you heard this sob story, and now you've gone not guilty, and like
And it
it
wasn't
wasn't
him.
him.
Yeah,
Just like how it, like, that's really early in the film that they set up like somebody's bias just being
yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Like they just completely assumed that it was that guy that had changed his
yeah.
vote because of their biases, and it was just
Just
absolutely
wrong.
wrong from the get
Yeah.
go. Like,
No, it's so well done, and they all had like really good. What's the word? Can never remember that word. They all interacted really well. They all bounced off each other, and I loved the guy
mm,
um, who is the sort of like Jersey dude who loves baseball, and he's got his baseball tickets, and all he wants to do is get out there. And as soon as he sees it going like six to
yeah,
six, he's like, even though he basically doesn't care. And I love that when he flips, someone goes over to him and questions him like, I think it's the French or the European guy. He's like, why have you flipped? And he's like, oh, I think he's not guilty. And he's like, tell me why. And he's like, no. It's like, so you think he's not guilty? And he sort of goes, yeah. And even that guy, because all the rest are basically convinced by the arguments, whereas he's just convinced by the momentum. And even having a character like that in that movie, where they all change their mind for one reason or another, and even though they all have their own biases, he basically doesn't care, and his only bias is that he wants to leave the room. And obviously, those
yeah,
people definitely exist in jurors, and I think it was really good to
yeah,
include
yeah,
that character because it just made the dynamic really interesting.
yeah, yeah. And similarly, like the marketing guy
Him too,
who
yeah,
he's not that he's keen to leave, but he doesn't really get what's going
yeah,
on
exactly,
properly, and is like much more um like flipped and doesn't have as strong personal reasoning. Um, yeah, I hadn't really thought about those characters as much because they are less,
they don't get as involved in the actual.
yeah, they are less involved. But that's a good, that's a good point actually. They do their inclusion doesn't strengthen it overall, makes it more believable.
Exactly, yeah, it was just it was just really good. And I liked that when they got to like the half-hour mark, the characters were like, "Well, it's about 6 o'clock, so let's set like an hour for this." And then a literal watching the movie hour goes by, and then the film ends. I was like, "Oh, I love you for that. Whoever did that, that's so good."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was just really really good, and it makes me because that's the first movie I've watched from like the 50s in like a long while. Um, and
Mm,
seeing as you can just watch them for fucking free for the most part, I think I'm gonna go back now and
yeah.
start watching some of these other movies and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've watched obviously because I did my film from every year. I've seen at least like 10 films from
Yeah, of
each
course.
decade. And yeah, there are definitely some standout ones from um, the 50s and earlier, that I really like, and some Duff
Oh yeah,
ones.
there's shit everywhere, even especially in 2020.
Well, I guess I more mean like there's some films that I think people remember
Oh okay,
really
yeah,
fondly, and like people talk about them, but like when I go back and watch it now, I don't. It's either, yeah, just something about it has
yeah, yeah,
changed. Like either they're dated, or maybe like the themes of the film don't
yeah, because
resonate.
it's for a different audience and that.
Yeah, I think one that really makes me think that is that I've seen a silent film from 1920 of Jekyll and Hyde. And so whenever I've seen like a modern Jekyll and Hyde, he basically always has
Okay.
superpowers, right? Like he can throw, he becomes stronger. He's like this monstrous figure. Whereas, because that's kind of like modern day, people want to be a
Yeah, yeah,
superhero, right? So this idea of taking the serum to have you like become horrible, but you get these cool powers, people can like
yeah,
relate to
yeah.
that. Whereas in the 1920 and in like I guess the original book, he doesn't. All that happens is he becomes like a dickhead, basically.
Brilliant.
Like it's this Victorian idea of how you have to be prim and proper,
Right.
and like your conscience always like there's always this pressure to behave a certain way. But when he takes the serum and becomes Hyde, he looks different, so nobody knows it's
Uh,
him, and it completely removes his conscience, so he can just go and gamble and womanize and behave however he wants.
ooh. Yeah, that's way more interesting.
So it's like I don't know, it's like it's really interesting from a I think I would really quite like the
Hmm.
book in that sense, but then the film doesn't resonate because it's got him going off and doing these things that like I guess in 1920 would have seemed really
Really bad.
like going out and drinking and
Oh,
not going to his duties
yeah.
and missing an appointment. I mean it gets a little bit worse than that, but I suppose when I've seen like so many films where people do really sordid things, because God, they'll show you
Yeah,
anything.
pretty much.
Like 1920 audience would be horrified. Um, yeah, it doesn't quite. I don't think it quite comes across.
Okay.
Um, and some of the dialogue it doesn't really work. It's a bit like
Hmm.
waffly and yeah, but it gets into like this philosophy, you
Okay,
know.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, some films like 12 Angry Men, um, still really stand up.
Definitely. I'm really glad I watched it for sure.
That's another. I think it's a Wonderful Life is from. I don't know if you've already seen that.
I've, you can
It's
basically
quite a
assume
common one.
I've not seen any like movies from the golden like era of Hollywood before the 70s, pretty much.
Yeah, that's another one of my. It's from 1946. It's got James Stewart. That's another one of my like 5 stars
Okay.
from like pre 1960.
I'll have a look at that as well then.
So yeah, if you fancy something slightly
Hmm.
older, that's probably what I would recommend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've watched more Korean movies from that time period than I have Western movies, so yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to look at, I guess.
Yeah, when I was kind of looking back, I kind of took it that like I wanted to watch a couple of horrors. I wanted to see something from Charlie Chaplin, some things from Hitchcock, and kind of get like a smattering of all these things that were popular. Um, some of them are great, some of them are just eh. Like I didn't realize um, ambulance
Crap.
going by. I don't know if you can hear that. Like I didn't realize just how many films Hitchcock had produced, for
He did
example.
shitloads, didn't
Um, yeah, and some of those are like some of my favorites. Like Rear Window, I think is so good. So if you haven't seen
he?
Rear
Really?
Window, that's 50s
Okay.
as well. 54. I would definitely recommend Rear Window. But then some, like there's one called Number 17, which is from the 30s, and it's just so bad. It's just like so goofy, so ridiculous. Like there's this Cockney comedic relief
Oh
character
God.
that's just so overdone, like nothing you've
Fucking hell.
seen. Like, Dick Van Dyke, eat your heart out. Like this guy puts it to shame. But yeah, yeah. Those I think that would be my. It's a Wonderful Life's one of my five
Cool.
stars. Rear Window is as
I'll
well.
check those out.
And yeah, see what you think of
Yeah,
them.
I'll let you know for sure. Cool. Shall we move on to a little bit of game talk? I've got one thing I can talk about very briefly. If you want to have a quick chat.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You go because I've got quite a few things to say about the one
cool.
I've played.
This is very brief, and it's a conversation we've had, non-podcast related, for basically, and this feels insane, 8 years. So I started
Yeah.
replaying FTL, Faster Than Light, again. um,
Okay.
and I've never actually beaten it on any difficulty with any of the ships. Um,
Oh, really?
like, I think when it came out, we were 15, and I loved it, and I just play it again and again because I loved the atmosphere and the gameplay. But I was shit, basically. So I was
Yeah.
like, once again, I'm gonna play it through. I don't care how far I get because I just love the mechanics and just how it is basically. So I thought I'll play it on easy. I'll go with the standard Federation ship, and I got all the way to the end, and I've never seen the Rebel cruiser before, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really gutted because I lost, but I was just like, oh no, because I got to the end. I won the first fight, but I didn't realise there was two more fights after that, and I'd already used two of the repair stations. And then in the second fight, it switches to drones. So I got rid of the stealth field, and then it switched to drones. And it's even on easy, it's got 5 drones circling you, and then it's got like 2 drones that shoot down all of your missiles or lasers. So even though I had 2 missiles firing and the burst laser Mark III, so that's eight things attacking the ship, it would just shoot them
Yeah.
down every time, and it just slowly fucked up my entire ship. Absolutely gutted. But yeah, again, that game,
So if it makes you feel any better, like I just checked on Steam because I was like, I wonder if I ever beat
it's
it.
fucking hard,
Nope.
man. It's so good.
Zero achievements on Steam, so I've never beaten I've never like achieved anything. I've played this game for like 40 hours and I've
I
not.
think when you have it installed, your achievements pop up because it said 0 for me too, and I was like, what? I played it for 30 hours. Like installed it and booted it up. It then popped up with all my stuff. So I think it's just like a weird bug.
Okay. Oh yeah, because it says I've never even got to like Sector 5, but
Exactly.
I've definitely seen
Yeah.
the boss, if never
Um,
beaten it. Um,
but yeah, that game continues, and even though it's been 8 years, well, I'll probably still replay it, and like I'm gonna play it again this afternoon. I'll play it again in like 5 years because there's just something about it where I'm on my ship, I've got my dudes, I'm gonna get fucked up at
yeah,
some point, but space adventure. I think it's in my top 10 FTL,
yeah,
like for games, because there's just something about it that I'll just will always go back to.
yeah. The game I actually preferred Into the Breach.
Yes,
Did the because that was the same guys, right, as FTL.
subset, yeah.
Um, because I did, don't get me wrong, I really like FTL, but um, Into the Breach I absolutely played to death.
It's such a good game.
Like, because like FTL, like I've played it and I've played it a whole bunch, but at some points, like I got frustrated of just dying,
Of course,
and
of
I was
course.
like, I didn't fancy starting like a whole run all over. Whereas that kind of Into the Breach style, having perfect knowledge of what the enemies are all going to do and having to work around it, I just thought was really interesting. Like it was like it's like a strategy puzzle game,
Yeah,
right? Really, and
I think it's a better game than FTL. Um, the way it's designed and the fact that you can actually, like, I've beaten it. I've beaten Into the Breach. It took me about three hours maybe, and it was fucking awesome. Soundtrack so good. Even the fact it's just like a really basic story, it's still a cool story. And I'm replaying it now with the gas robots, where you have
Okay.
like the jet fighter and it like hops over, makes the
Yeah,
gas
yeah,
cloud,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna replay that because it's such a cool mechanic. And I thought there's like 10 more robot groups and stuff.
There's like I've I've beaten Into the Breach with every
Everyone,
available squad on
holy shit,
every size of map.
bloody
Because
hell,
you can do like the small, medium, large, or whatever it is.
yeah,
I did all three for for every squad. That's how much
yeah.
I liked playing that game.
I mean, yeah, because the core gameplay is just great. It's just so fun.
Yeah, and you can unlock. So there's like a secret squad you can unlock if you.
Oh shit,
So if you like play enough. I can't remember if you've got to beat it with all the squads to unlock it, or
maybe.
I can't remember how it works, but
Okay,
you get to play as like the aliens.
no way.
You get like one of the like dung beetle ones that do the charging, and
Yeah,
the bugs and one of the others.
that's
So
awesome.
those are your three, which was cool. But yeah, yeah, Into the Breach was excellent.
So
It's
good.
almost making me want to play it. Like I've
I know
played like every aspect of that game, and now I'm like,
it's it's that good that you can just go back. I think that's what's so good about both those games is that the core gameplay is just so fun and repetitive. Even though it's
yeah,
repetitive, it's just so fun.
yeah,
Either being a space captain with your dudes fighting ships, or being, the commander and you've got your robots and you've got a defender from the kaiju and the aliens and the bugs. And I think it's all the little details like the presentation as well. Like, um, even though it's really simple graphics, it's like really clean. It's really well done, like pixel or whatever, and the music's
yeah,
always so good. Like I have
yeah,
those two soundtracks by Ben Prunty on repeat, non-stop,
yeah.
because the Atmos is just fucking great.
They're so. I mean, yeah, it's like you're saying about the core gameplay, but like those games are just the gameplay,
Yeah,
right? You don't. It's not one of these where you particularly have like. I guess FTL a little bit has the two layers of like where do you go on the map, and in some ways Into the Breach has like choosing which level to go and do.
yeah,
But that's like such a tiny part of the
yeah.
game.
It's
It
minimal.
is just you you have this ship on ship battle, or you have this field of mechs against the aliens. That is the whole game. Um, as opposed to, some games where you play for the story, like we talked about
Yeah,
previously, or like XCOM or something where there is kind of multiple layers to it. So even, you get like a break from the gameplay in
yeah,
some ways.
yeah,
Like the gameplay has to be good because you just sit down for hours and that's all you're doing. You are experiencing that gameplay.
yeah. It's just really what. God, I can't wait for whatever they do next.
Mm.
Instant buy, instant buy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. I mean, I can't
twice,
imagine not liking it.
twice in a row. They have just completely fucked my shit up and fulfilled like two big fantasies. Like being 15 and seeing this little indie game pop up on Steam where you do ship battles and you're going around and you have to collect crew members, click, done. And then 21 or 20 or whatever, Love Pacific Rim, and then your favorite developer makes a game about mechs versus aliens and bugs and monsters, and you're like, well, I wonder what else they're gonna fucking fulfill because this is just amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It also hits because I'm somebody who I really like achievements. I know
Yeah, you do,
some
don't you?
people have like mixed feelings about achievements in games, but I absolutely love collecting all the achievements
Yeah,
and going through. I don't know what it is, but It depends. I will caveat this by saying it depends on the game, and
Yeah,
some games you do achievements really well, and some do them terribly.
some do them like
Like,
shit.
yeah, some games you load in and it's like, basically they've got like 5 achievements, which are the equivalent of play the game 10,000 times.
Which is just shit, isn't it?
And literally like I was I don't know, it was some multiplayer matchup game where you had to like win so many times with every class with this, and it's weird
Yeah,
because it's obviously there to try and keep you playing, but it turns me off to playing. Like I'm just not interested
I
in like
mean,
trying to play the game that much.
there's just some like even because Xbox 360 achievements and PSN trophies are like huge, and people still want to like just like Steam, people want to
Mm.
complete them, but some of them are just ridiculous. Like I remember like Mass Effect 2, some of the achievements are something like kill 2,000 enemies with the flamethrower or with this weapon or by using a biotic power. And some of them I've
Yeah,
got just because I've played the game so much, but I'm not going to sit there and just spam and replay encounters just for that fucking achievement. But if it makes you
yeah,
play the game in an interesting way or overcome like a cool challenge, then I'm all there. I'm there for that.
yeah. Like I really like. So say they've placed like say there's secrets in the game.
Yeah,
You know, having an achievement to find all the secrets can be good, but sometimes that's not what you want. Sometimes like you want to find a secret and it do something cool in the game.
yeah, yeah,
Like maybe your character then picks up, you find a cool hat that you just get to wear.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it
Just
doesn't
little
have
stuff.
to be like a pop up to like make you go and seek it out. Um, but yeah, I so the achievements, like I guess my general rule for whether I like achievements is going off like how hard would it be to 100% this game?
Okay. Yeah,
And if, like you're saying about the kill 3 million enemies with this specific weapon for every type of weapon,
yep.
that's ridiculous. Like if it's kill a large number of enemies that you could conceivably do over the playthrough,
Then
and
that's fine.
then get a kill with every type of weapon,
Yeah, I'm fine with
things
that.
like that, things like that make sense, right? It's like arguably the kill count one is just a bit dull
It's just
because
naff.
it's just how long have you played the game?
Yeah,
Um, but what I really like, there's a lot of games on Steam I play that are kind of 6 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours,
yeah,
single digit, maybe up to like 12, 15 hours, and you play it to 100%.
yeah.
There's like however many achievements, you play it through, you get all of them, and there's no reason to ever play it again. But they're really enjoyable experiences and usually cheap.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
must.
something I quite enjoy picking up. Um,
Yeah.
so, for example, I played um, like a point and click adventure called The Inner World,
Ooh.
um, which is this kind of. I really liked the art style. It's kind of interesting and um, yeah, it's like a typical point and click adventure that you could imagine to come out
Yeah.
um, in the 90s, but actually was a bit more modern, looked a bit better,
Yeah. Yeah.
and had quite a nice story. And so, like, I played that for a little over 6 hours.
That's perfect. That's so
It's just,
perfect.
I've got enough games that take up a lot of my time. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes I want to do something new and I want to play a story, basically, like an
Definitely.
interactive story or like a hunt around and discover all the cool things. So I've got like 200 games on Steam, and a lot of those that I've played are these little short, snappy, often pixel art actually, games that
Yeah, it's cheaper in it, I guess.
you just play to 100%.
I completely agree with you, and I think like I've played enough like AAA games that I don't really get surprised by them these days. Like I know what I'm gonna
Yeah,
get, and even if yeah, sure, if it takes 30 hours to beat, it's a good value for money. But then, is it really? If half of that was boring, like
yeah,
um,
yeah. Being long doesn't equate to being enjoyable.
no, like
In some ways, the game I've played most of by hours played, I'm almost certain will be Hearthstone.
oh god,
So
I forgot about Hearthstone. Holy
I
shit,
don't know because you can't. Blizzard doesn't like Blizzard's launcher doesn't do like an hour
it
count
isn't.
like Steam does.
No,
But when I just look at the amount of games played, my most played game on Steam is about 300 hours or something like
yeah,
400 actually. Um, but I must have played at least 1,000 hours of Hearthstone.
I have no doubt of
Um,
this.
but I don't even think it's that good of a game.
It's shit now, apparently. Apparently, the last
Like
few years it's been awful.
I enjoyed it. There was definitely times that I played it when I enjoyed it.
I had a good time. I had a good time with it.
But there's probably at least 500 of those 1,000 hours, if not more. Like a
Yeah,
1,000 hours is like the lower end here, right? Was like frustration and partly because I was playing it during college, so played it on like my iPad, in
oh yeah.
breaks and in lessons, and you know, all these other times you can't have a Steam game up. But it was just like it had like this addictive loop where I just keeps me playing right
Yeah,
past the point I'm enjoying it,
that's
which
yeah,
is something I like try to avoid in games now, like actively avoid. I'd rather play a game for 2 hours and beat it 100%. Even if I've
yeah.
paid a little bit more, and you could argue, is that value for money for 2 hours? If I beat that game to 100% in 2 hours, whether it was good or bad, I've not really wasted my time.
No, because you tried
That's
something
like
new.
an evening.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I think as well. Like when I think the big one of the big differences as well is being an adult and having a job and having
Yeah,
responsibilities. Like,
yeah,
and even at uni, there was still times, not all the time, where I'd have a lot of free time and I could, if I wanted, just play an absolute shitload of video games. Like in Japan, I must have beat like 30 games. Like I would
mm,
just beat one onto the next, really enjoying a lot of them. Whereas now it's like, yeah, 2 hours is an evening because I'm tired when I get home from work and all of this kind of stuff. So
yeah,
shorter, yeah, I would rather play a shorter, different game than be like, yeah, I'm gonna spend £60 on new Battlefield where I'm gonna shoot the same guns, or FIFA where I'm gonna kick the ball again. Like the money just ain't worth it these days.
yeah, yeah. It's like I don't have the time. I have other things I want to do with my time.
Yeah,
You know, I and I guess it doesn't have the same social aspect in that,
no, no,
like in school, we'd all play, like we had so many games we both played.
exactly.
Like you'd go home and you'd play them, and then you'd come to school and talk about them.
Yeah,
Um, Whereas now, a lot of the games I play, some of them are multiplayer that I play with my mates, but a lot of the
yeah,
ones that aren't multiplayer, I'm never really gonna have a conversation with somebody about.
no,
Like a lot of these ones, like even the inner world that I've just briefly mentioned, you're probably not going to play it. Um, like it's not so amazing that I would be like,
you don't know that.
y- But do you know what I mean?
Oh no,
Like
I'm
maybe
joking,
you
I'm
do.
joking.
Maybe you play it in like 6 months, but I played that game years ago now. So
Yeah,
like at the time, it's just something I played by myself. So that's fine when it's like a 6 hour experience. But if I'm spending like all my weekend playing a game and that's it, I've just sat in my room and played that game, I just feel, I don't know, guilty in a way that I didn't
yeah,
when I was young.
no, I get you.
This is it. We're done.
This is the end of the
We're
podcast.
talked out.
You have your this is your warning.
Go away.
Go away. No, don't say goodbye to the one
It's
person.
nobody. That one person is me watching
Yeah.
through to check it uploaded already.
Cool.
James, you can stop. You can stop watching this now. Just.
Matty, stop editing. You're done.
Okay. Bye.